And first at 5, breaking news. Preliminary test results are in, revealing a Yale doctoral student does not have the Ebola virus. And good evening. Thanks for joining us. A sigh of relief across the state tonight as we learn the student being treated for Ebola symptoms at Yale New Haven Hospital does not have the virus. That's according to our sources.
Yeah, the negative test results came back just moments ago. Tonight, we have live team coverage on the scare that rattled nerves throughout the state, including more on the patient and how the state is preparing in case of another scare. We begin with Fox Connecticut's Tony Terzi. He joins us live from Yale New Haven Hospital now with the latest. Tony.
Guys, this afternoon, it appeared a little foreshadowing from Mayor Tony Harp of New Haven, who said it is their belief, meaning city and medical officials, that this was not a case of Ebola. Doctors here at Yale New Haven Hospital would not go on the record and say that that was their belief. But in fact, as you just heard, sources have confirmed for us this will not be a case of Ebola. Now, while that was negative, it's certainly been a positive, the way the hospital has prepared for Ebola.
We've been, as Dr. Balthasar, been planning for this for several weeks, if not several months, and we had already identified where we would put this patient in isolation and precautions.
At about 10 Wednesday night, an emergency response team met at Yale New Haven Hospital to map out their game plan before picking up the male patient who had visited his primary care physician Wednesday afternoon.
We had to outfit AMR's ambulance with the protection inside the cabin.
Protection similar to what you might see covering lockers after a team wins a big game.
They outfit the back with a mil-spec plastic, which is basically transparent, and it's there's a way to actually put it on, and there's actually a safe way to take it off.
And they, of course, had to outfit the responders and patient in personal protective equipment, similar to what you've seen on patients and professionals on television. And when they arrived,
he was put into a negative pressure area for evaluation, and our people were decontaminated.
Doctors say the patient remained in stable condition as of this afternoon, with 2 physicians caring for this individual round the clock.
Those individuals are critical care trained, and they're also trained in internal medicine, but they're experts in the whole range of medical diseases.
And 2 nurses are also on duty 24/7.
One that's caring for the patient, and one that is ensuring that that nurse is donning and doffing, that is taking on and putting on and taking off their equipment in the appropriate fashion.
Now, doctors told us that at 11 a.m. today, a specimen was taken from the patient who was exhibiting Ebola-like symptoms. That patient came in around midnight last night, and they brought it to a lab in Massachusetts, and they expected within 24 hours that they would receive the results, positive or negative. And about 5 hours later, they had the results again. The preliminary results, according to a government source telling Fox Connecticut, the patient does not have Ebola. Live outside Yale New Haven Hospital, Tony Terzi, Fox Connecticut.
Very good news for us tonight. Thank you very much, Tony. Well, the patient is fresh off a trip from Liberia where he was delivering computers to help the government track the epidemic.
And today's scare understandably rattling nerves for the Yale University community. Fox Connecticut's John Charlton continues tonight's live team coverage, and he joins us from campus with that part of the story. John.
Well, Brent and Jen, as you can imagine, it is a scary situation here on campus, but looking behind me, it looks like business as usual, at least from the outside here at the School of Public Health. Now, students continue to go to and from class in the same buildings and labs where the possible Ebola patients studied. Several told us that they feel any potential risk is contained because the university has been communicating well with them. At Yale's School of Public Health, classes continue and labs are open, even though a doctoral student from the school was hospitalized around the corner and down the block on suspicions of contracting Ebola.
We're getting updates, email updates, and we're getting sent all the information we need to be safe.
Much of the communication has come via emails from the Dean of the School of Public Health, Dr. Paul Cleary. Earlier emails stated that 2 doctoral students were in Liberia setting up computer systems to help track and monitor Ebola. But the risk of being infected was low because they wouldn't be in contact with patients or in any clinical settings. The October 2nd email said the students would voluntarily sequester themselves for 3 weeks when they got back. However, when they did get back, Dr. Cleary's email on Monday revealed that after careful consideration, the sequestration was unnecessary and not recommended. Do you feel like the university did the right thing there?
I'm conflicted about that, definitely. I honestly don't have a good answer for that.
There are many more than just students coming and going at Yale. That includes delivery men like Marcelo Jaramillo, who was sanitizing his hands more than usual Thursday.
So I use it every time. So I want to be healthy and I want to be responsible for my food and delivery.
There are also patients in and out at Yale medical buildings. Lori Wiegler picked up this flyer about the possible Ebola patient when she went in for physical therapy.
I think we should just remain super skeptical, and if it's not Ebola, great.
Now, another email went out today, this one from the president of Yale University. He wanted to ease concerns throughout the Yale community, saying that the student that is in the hospital has a low-grade fever, and there is no indication at this time that that student indeed has Ebola. Of course, those initial test results show that the tests for Ebola are negative. Reporting live at Yale, I'm John Charlton, Fox, Connecticut.
Thank you very much, John. Well, today's close call prompting swift action from the state.
The state establishing a unified command team to coordinate resources and personnel. Fox Connecticut's Louisa Moeller continues tonight's team coverage. She joins us now from the newsroom. Louisa.
Well, Brent, Jen, Governor Malloy really emphasized preparedness today, especially after the scare. And that means our hospitals are ready or getting ready with the help of drills and some state oversight.
We must go above and beyond what the CDC is recommending.
Flanked by Department of Public Health Commissioner Jewel Mullen and others, Governor Malloy sent a message to the public Thursday. He's taking Ebola seriously. After learning of a possible Ebola case at Yale New Haven, Malloy mandated that every hospital in the state practice for the worst.
I've asked that every hospital, actually I am directing through Commissioner Jewel Mullen, that every hospital, including its EMS staff in the state, perform a drill within the next week to assure that their procedures are up to standard.
And launched a unified Ebola command team led by Mullen.
The same folks who have been in conversation on this issue from the very beginning.
The state's efforts to prepare for the deadly virus go back months.
I sent a letter to the CEOs of all the acute care hospitals in the state.
Mullen requested checklists from every hospital on their level of Ebola preparedness. And some hospitals and healthcare groups have been taking matters into their own hands, like Hartford Healthcare. These are pictures from one of their Ebola training sessions.
It is waterproof gowns, boots that cover that, triple gloves, and hoods and face shields, high-level respirators.
Finally, last week, Governor Malloy issued an order declaring a public health emergency.
The order gives the Commissioner of Public Health the authority to quarantine and isolate an individual or group of individuals whom they reasonably believe has been exposed to the Ebola virus.
In the case of Yale, the governor says Mullen implemented a quarantine for the student or students who traveled with the patient. Now, at this point, it is unclear if that quarantine is still going on. We're waiting for comment from the Department of Public Health. And one more thing, Governor Malloy is recommending that anyone with concerns about the virus call the state's emergency hotline. That is 211. Louisa Moeller, Fox, Connecticut.
And we've just learned President Obama has authorized calling up National Guard reserves if needed to assist in the U.S. response to Ebola in West Africa. The U.S. has already committed to sending up to 4,000 military personnel to West Africa to provide logistics and help build treatment units to fight the virus.
The 2 Dallas nurses who contracted Ebola after treating an infected Liberian man are being moved to other facilities for treatment. 26-year-old Nina Pham will undergo treatment at the National Institutes of Health in Bethesda, Maryland. It's one of 4 biocontainment units in the U.S. Pham is said to be in good condition. A second nurse who tested positive, 29-year-old Amber Vinson, has been transferred to a biohazard infectious disease center at Emory University Hospital in Atlanta. Both women treated Thomas Duncan, who died of Ebola last week in Dallas.
Meanwhile, crew members from the Frontier Airlines flight that Amber Vinson took from Cleveland to Dallas have been placed on paid leave for 21 days. The airline says the action is being taken out of an abundance of caution. 6 employees, 2 pilots and 4 flight attendants will be monitored for any symptoms. Vinson took the flight a day before she began experiencing symptoms. Frontier says the airplane has been decontaminated. And new screening procedures for passengers coming from West Africa began today at 4 airports across the U.S. Customs and health officials in New Jersey, Washington, Chicago, and Atlanta will begin taking the temperatures of passengers coming from Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea. The screenings began at New York's Kennedy International on Saturday. A House panel grilled the CDC chief on Ebola and possible new travel bans. We have that part of the story ahead at 5. And as always, we have the latest developments online at foxct.com.
We have a developing and disturbing story from Meriden tonight, where a search is underway for a man who crawled through the window of a 10-year-old girl and sexually assaulted her in her bed. It happened around 3:30 this morning at a home in the downtown area. The suspect is described as a black man in his mid-40s with braids or dreadlocks. Detectives tell us they are analyzing evidence from the scene and pursuing several leads. 2 men who floated from Greenport, New York to Clinton in a raft are recovering from hypothermia this evening. The Coast Guard says the men left in this 7-foot raft from Long Island last night. They started knocking on doors in Clinton looking for help this morning. One of the men, William McCreary, was found sleeping in a trash can afterward. No word on either of the men's conditions tonight.
And this just into Connecticut's newsroom. A teen mother from East Hartford is under arrest tonight, accused of dumping her newborn baby in a trash can back in August. The newborn baby boy was pronounced dead by paramedics. 18-year-old Geraldine Sotomayor Cruz faces several charges, including manslaughter, risk of injury, and concealment of birth. She's being held on a $500,000 bond tonight. A body discovered in Niantic's Seney Memorial Park this morning is only being identified as a white female right now. Police are calling the death untimely, saying it does not appear to be suspicious. The dog walker stumbled upon the body around 6:30 this morning.
And Brent, what a rainy day it was. You'd look out the window and all of a sudden it'd be downpouring.
Soggy and sloppy. It's not always going to be that way. Things change. Let's toss it over to Rachel Frank in the Weather Center and see when.
Yeah, we already have changes going on right now. The rain is on its way out, and that muggy air that's been with us for the last couple of days, that's going away too. So better sleeping days ahead, including tonight. In fact, temperatures will be dropping back into the lower to middle 50s. And again, with that less humid air in place, you can open the windows again. Let's show you the radar right now and give you an idea of what's going on. Still have some rain just on the 395 corridor, Ashford, Eastford, Pomfret, Brooklyn still dealing with some leftover showers, Voluntown and North Stonington still seeing them, but those continue to push off to the east, and we're even seeing just a couple of peaks of sun or some brightening in spots, mainly in western Connecticut right now. So if you do see that before the sun goes down tonight, consider it a bonus. There's certainly a lot more sunshine as you head west of the New York State border. As we head through the evening tonight, slow clearing, and as the humidity begins to drop, we could see a little bit of patchy fog. I think it should be gone by tomorrow morning though, but if you're out later this evening, you may run into it. Again, temperatures dropping into the lower to middle 50s by the time you wake up tomorrow morning. And tomorrow, a world of a difference. Instead of low 70s and muggy conditions, we'll be in the low 70s, less humid, pleasant. But that's still not really full fall weather. Don't worry, we're going to get back to that big time cool down later in the forecast. We'll show it to you coming up.
All right, thank you, Rachel. Watch out, Bermuda, a massive hurricane churning in the Atlantic with its eyes on the island. We're tracking the storm next at 5.
Also ahead, autopsy results that answer questions about what led to Joan Rivers' death.